Okay, in this graph, I'm going to show you how to graph a polar equation by hand. The equation that I'm going to graph is 3 times 2 sine of theta. So when you're graphing these by hand, you're going to want to make a table of values. So I created a table where my theta is my independent variable. So I picked angles for theta, and then the R is going to be my dependent variable. I went ahead and filled in the table. You'll notice that I put this pi over 6 in red because it doesn't follow the same pattern as the others, but I'm going to do that in order to illustrate a point. Let's start with theta equals 0. So if I were doing this by hand, I'd be looking at R equals 3 times sine of 2 times 0. That's going to be 3 times the sine of 0, which is 0. So 3 times 0 is going to give me 0. If I do the pi over 6, and we're looking at R equals 3 times the sine of 2 times pi over 6, that's going to be 3 times the sine of pi over 3, which is going to be 3 times the square root of 3 over 2, which is approximately 2.59. I'm going to do one more by hand. If R equals, I'm going to now do the pi over 4. So we're looking at 3 times the sine of 2 times pi over 4. That's going to be 3 times the sine of pi over 2. And the sine of pi over 2 is 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. So I'm going to go through the rest of these angles and fill in the R values. Okay, so now I have my table completed, and I'm going to plot these points. We'll start with the first one, 0, 0. So that's just going to be the pole. So just plot a point on the pole. Now the next one is pi over 6 comma 2.59. So I'm going to go to pi over 6, and I'm going to go out 1 circle, 2 circle, and then a little bit more than half. So maybe about right there. Next point, pi over 4 comma 3. So I find pi over 4 and I go out to the third circle. 1, 2, 3, there we go. Then I have pi over 2 comma 0. So that's going to take me back to the pole. So what's happening here is I'm going to have a little bit of a curvature, and I would have a more exact graph if I had found the R value when theta equals pi over 12, for example. But I know from experience that this can be quite tedious. And so what's happening is you're going out to 3, and then you're back to the pole. So now we're at 3 pi over 4 comma negative 3. So 3 pi over 4 is in quadrant 2, but negative 3 takes you down into quadrant 4. 1, 2, 3. That takes you out there. And then the next one will be pi comma 0. That takes you back to the pole. So you're going to be out to 3 at the pi over 4 angle, and then back to the pole. And you're starting to see what's happening here. The next one would be 5 pi over 4 comma 3. So 5 pi over 4, that's in quadrant 3. Go out to the third circle. 1, 2, 3. So we're out to 5 pi over 4. And then the next value is 3 pi over 2, 0. That takes you back to the pole. And then we have 7 pi over 4, negative 3. So 7 pi over 4 is in quadrant 4, but negative 3 radians takes you into quadrant 2. So right there, so you go out to 3 again. And then, of course, at 2 pi, we're back to 0, takes you back to the pole. And there we have our completed graph, which you see is a rose. And as you have witnessed, this is a very tedious process, but it can be done.